Okay, thanks everybody for showing up on this early, well, it's early morning for the West Coast and the Southwest, first thing Monday morning after 2 weeks of holiday. But thank you everybody for showing up. This is January 4th, 2021, and we are at the Ortelius Outreach meeting. So I have put in the link in the chat. The link, please add your name. Chat. Make it easy for everybody to get to. Go ahead and add your name while we're getting sorted out here. All right, so I'll just go through a quick follow-up from our meeting that we had a month ago. So it's been a month since we had a break in between. I did get a couple of things that were kind of on my to-do list to get things rolling forward. Is that since our last meeting, we talked about getting the PR out for the Ortelius announcement. All that went. I got interviewed by a few places, which was fun on the topic. We did postpone any type of webcasts or podcasts for this month. I believe that this Thursday we have a podcast scheduled. I just sent an email to Jacqueline Salinas from the Linux Foundation to confirm our podcast date and our webcast date. The reason why I mentioned that is because anybody who would like to be on that, we'll do a panel discussion. If you'd like to be on that, be sure and let me know. And Siddharth and Neetu have already raised their hand and said they'd like to be part of that. So as soon as I get confirmation on when those announcements are going to be, when the podcast is going to be recorded and the webcast, I'll let everybody know. I'm hoping to get that done early today. I already sent an email out. And then we'll need to put together like some panel questions that Jackie can ask us in the podcast, and then we'll pull together what the webcast is going to look like. We do now have a blog framework on for the website, so please blog. We need content. Let me just quickly show what that looks like. Share. So what I did was I created a blog page, so now there's a blog item on the menu. We have 4 categories. One is GitOps and configuration management, which I think we should start leading this particular discussion. Any blogs that you guys want to write, I just called it the contributors category. We have news and then tips and tricks. So what I want to really cover today is what we should be thinking about in terms of our goals for the next 6 months. And we certainly, we need to be able to kind of formulate goals that we can measure and understand what kind of lead, I would call them lead indicators that we need to manage in order to know if we can meet that goal. And I've thought a lot about this topic over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I really think that the goal for us for the outreach group should be adoption and how we can build adoption around Ortelius. I'm sure there's other goals that we could take on, but I think that we need to really focus as much as we can on specific areas. And I think adoption should be one of our primary, it should be right now our primary goal. Now adoption is more of a lofty goal. I think we should come up with a number. We should be able to say something like, we want to have 4 new adopters of the Ortelius open source per month by June 1st. And if we feel like if that's a number we can go after, then we can state it, we'll put it down here, and then we need to determine what are some of the these lead goals or lead indicators that would allow us to reach that. So for example, maybe one of the lead indicators, maybe we know in order to get people to adopt, we have to start doing videos around training, or we have to really go through the onboarding process and see if there's any issues that are stopping people from adopting it and making it easy. Do we need to have at least, one new integration, or just take the Jenkins, the existing Jenkins plugin and really start doing training around it and doing some videos and blogs around it so we can start talking about it. So that's really what I want to talk about for today, is what we think, if we all think that that is for the outreach community a solid goal. And that would, what I would call, if we say we want to do 4 new users a month by June 1st, that would be what I would call a lagging indicator. So we figure it out by June 1st if we've achieved it. And then we need to come up with our lead indicators. What do we need to do in order to achieve that goal? And I'm really hoping that we can have a discussion around how that would look.
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you guys can.
Yes, we can hear you great.
Okay. I'm having problems with my mouse doesn't work today for some reason. Yeah, I think adoption would be a good a place to start, and I think there's some like you said, there's some key places that we can find some metrics. Like from the GitHub repository standpoint, we could look at new people that are contributing. I don't know if you want to look at how many people are adopting or using
we have to be,
Ortelius.
in order to be able to measure these things, we have to be specific. I think we have to be very specific. And we could measure how many people are if they're using the online version or download, we can track that. When I first was working one of our first goals at the Eclipse Foundation was to count downloads. And everything we talked about was how many downloads we had. That was all we focused on. Downloads, downloads, downloads. Everything that we could do to make downloads easier. How do we get downloads out? How do we get the links out to people? What kind of blogs do we need to talk about? The focus was on downloads. Now I think our focus should be on new signups and downloads if people are downloading it. And there's some work that we have to do even to get to do the new signups. Like we need to make sure that in are we going to support an Ortelius branded location, which I think we should. We can continue supporting it as Deploy Hub Team, but I think we might want to change it over to just an Ortelius site. So we have to talk about those kinds of things in order to achieve the goal. And we have to come up with a goal that we feel like we can achieve and we can carefully monitor. So it has to be very specific. Because this is the only thing we should talk about for the next 6 months if that's going to be our primary goal. And all of us are busy, so we need to have something that's very specific and we can all work towards that one particular goal in terms of outreach. Thoughts?
Yes, I think it's important. I'll support the viewpoint of yours, Tracy, that we should have some measurable goals, and but I think it should be in align to what people can achieve. We can, of course, have a bit of high expectations, but yes, measurable goals, and let's set across action plan for each of those measurable goals.
Right.
Sort of, I won't say sort of milestone, but yes, sort of objective that we achieve in reaching towards that goal?
Right. So, for example, some of those objectives might be, again, we could focus on a particular um, a user. We go after the Jenkins users who are working to solve this problem, or we focus on Spinnaker, or we focus on Tecton. We go after that. I think Jenkins makes the most sense because there's the most work's already been done, and we do some training around how to configure it around Jenkins. We do we do some recordings. We can even do some webcasts. And so each one of you, if you want to do a webcast, we can host webcasts. When we do webcast on our own, even outside of the CD Foundation, I can normally get close to 200 people to a webcast. So we can do those kinds of things independently. We just need to know what those big rocks are that we want to achieve, and then what we really need to do to achieve them. That's really the goal. And then, Siddharth, we can, he's already started working at the Trello boards and Kanban boards, so we can include all of that in the plan so we all know where we're at and how far we've come to achieve those goals. I'm just wondering if there's another goal that we should have, because we could have other goals. We could say we have a goal to increase the number of committers by a certain number. We want 4 or 5 new committers per month by June. On a regular basis by June 1st. That's a kind of a similar kind of a thing. In doing so, how do we reach out to those folks? What kind of blogs do we write about the kind of work we're doing? What's the experience? And we have personas now that Tatiana worked on that we can say, these are the kinds of things that these individuals are looking for. So we can build it around those personas. So we have everything we need. Now all we need to do is define the goal. My thought is adoption is probably the most critical one that we have, because adoption will bring the other open source committers. It kind of does two things for us.
Yeah, I think the adoption, looking at, if we're going to look at a number, would be either the number of signups that we're getting, or the number of downloads. Now, the number of downloads is a little bit harder to track because we can get the statistics, but it's hard to filter out our own internal testing stuff from the Docker repos. You can get a number, but the number is going to be skewed as part of that process, unless we do some other way to track a download as part of that process. Maybe some sort of survey, or some other way to loop back around to see what the maybe something around the user experience. I don't know. I'm just throwing some ideas out.
Right. So what are some other thoughts? I know you guys have not been thinking about this the last 2 weeks like I have, but in general, what are some of your thoughts? Let's just go around and hear from everybody what you think.
I think the adoption is definitely on the go. How can we bring more visibility to what Ortelius is doing? I know through adoption we can do that, but if we can have, for example, increasing the community size from X to delta X, X to Y, let's bring that. Contributors is another measurable thing we can do. Number of hits on this Ortelius page, if that can be tracked, we can see that earlier it was, let's say, 50 hits on this page, not an increase to 500 hits.
Those are good points, because that's what I would call a lead indicator. It would be the number of hits on the website if we're gonna increase adoption. What other concrete things? I would say to get the number of hits up, I think increase blogs. I would call the tips and tricks blogs.
Well, I think the blogs is going to be a mechanism to get, just like a training video would be a mechanism to get visibility. So, that's kind of like a means to an end process.
Can we also have product experience like mentions, like people who are like an organization which are already benefiting from Ortelius, if they can provide their inputs, like how Ortelius helped them on our website?
Right. Yeah, the other one along that lines, Karam, is the like the GitHub stars. I've seen that used before.
Oh, to increase our GitHub stars?
Yeah.
Course, like we can also mention.
And then if you look at the Twitch guys, anytime I watch a Twitch video about how to do something, or a YouTube video, the first thing they say is, subscribe and like and share. So that's how they are really pushing it from that standpoint of mention us, do that type of thing, because what they're trying to do is increase the number of followers on their YouTube channel.
Okay, so let's just do that. Let's do that. So Twitter mentions and increase followers. So out of these things that we've just talked about, we have number of hits on the web. These are things that we want to try to would be what we would call the lead indicators. Number of hits on website, increase tips and tricks blogs, which we only have one, training videos, education webcasts, mentions and user stories, increase stars, and then more mentions and increase followers in social media. Let's come up with some numbers for this. Instead of just saying adoption, let's write it in a sentence that we can kind of consume. So our lag, what we would call our lag goal is we want to increase adoption of Ortelius by what? What do you think we could do?
What is the number right now? Sorry, I am not aware. What is the number right now?
We get probably 5, probably 1 a day is all we get right now in terms of people signing up for the Deploy Hub Team product, which we don't really push very hard. It's just out there, and it's out on the website. Out of those, I don't know how many we don't necessarily follow up with them or find out what they've been doing. So it's hard for me to say how many people who are actually adopting the product. I'm going to say that if we have 2 out of those a week, that would be a large number.
Let's have a baseline or a benchmark, Tracy. Let's know, how many figures are there right now.
So Steve,
not an immediate answer. I mean, not an immediate answer.
Let me give you that number right now.
Well, I think we should say, regardless of the number, we should focus it on percentages. If we want a 10% growth or 25% growth in a certain category, if it's going to be number of subscribers, number of GitHub stars, that we want to increase it by X percentage. I think that's going to be the easier way to look at adoption is how we can look at a percentage increase.
What happens is there's a trap in percentage, and not against percentage. Let's say we have number 2 and we say we want to increase the percentage by 100%. So 2 plus 2
right.
The adoption number.
Let's see how many people who have signed up for the Deploy Hub Team version, and maybe we can kick it off of that. Okay.
And looking at
We
the
have
Ortelius,
we have
go ahead.
226 people who have gone through the install process. So we can base it up. We can take it a percentage of that, what we want to increase it over the course of the next 6 months.
Yeah, so it's just under one a day. On a business perspective, that's one a day
That's what, yeah,
on a business day.
right. Monday through Friday, about one a day.
Okay. Let's set up not a 6-month plan. I would say let's have a quarterly plan.
Okay,
Easy to track and manage.
good idea.
Or do a retrospective also. Something we go back in June and then we'll do a retrospective in July. We would be done with 2021 by then.
Yep. Okay, I think that's a great idea. Let's update that. And what do you what do we think is what's a percentage we want to go after? 20%?
I would say 25% increase.
I would say let's target 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be 125%.
Okay. Okay.
I meant to say, in that case, Steve, 200 I was talking about.
Oh, double it?
Yeah, see, the reason is, and we have an edge also. Till now, it was not part of CDA. It did not have that great visibility. The adoption was low. The community was not established. We have now community. It is now part of CDF. Also, we have people contributing more and more. We have more in the active contributors of GitHub also. So 25 would be, my view. We may debate on 25% would be too low expectations.
Okay.
Rest you guys decide upon. But
now website hits, I haven't looked at that in a while. And if anybody's really good at taking on, if managing these stats, some of this stuff gets out of my hand.
Tracy, I've added the Alexa rankings for the website. You can just click it. I have added in the chat.
Oh, you have? Okay.
In the chat, I've added the Alexa site ranking.
Oh, that's probably got to be pretty low or high, whichever way it goes.
If you love millions, then it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, see where we, and Steve, can you look at the Google Analytics for it?
Yeah, I got to get in there. Let me see if I can.
So what's a realistic number that we should be shooting for in that Alexa rating in 3 months' time? Doesn't give us a lot of time to track that, but
Well, that's one of the problems with a metric like that. Well, especially if you look at some of these, like a Google ranking and stuff it lags about 6 months. But like the number of hits and things like that,
doesn't.
it doesn't. So we are at, wrong website.
On Alexa, it is showing one, like in the past 90 days, we have averaged 1 hit per day on the website.
Yeah.
So like we can use that metric first, like the starting point.
Yeah, I don't have, this is part of it, I don't have Google Analytics hooked up for the Ortelius site.
we don't need Google Analytics in WordPress also, since this is a website on WordPress. WordPress also gives you the traffic hits of the page. You don't have to go to any other tool. WordPress gives a good view.
Let me log into that one. Yeah, because we use the Yoast. Yeah, a lot of this isn't in
There are certain
place.
plugins, uh, payable basis, freeable basis.
Yeah, I can't seem to find it right off the top of my head here. Even in WordPress, I don't know. Let's try there.
So we need to get analytics hooked up to the website, sounds like.
Yeah. Well, we can assume that it's going to be pretty low in the thousands, not like hundreds of thousands or anything like that.
Maybe it hits double than what it is at the moment. Again, we may target 100% increase, which is 200.
Okay.
I may be too optimistic, but people here can pitch in and share their inputs.
Okay. Oops. So I think that we should try to, let's talk about the blogs for tips and tricks. We only have one out there now, and it's written by Phil Gibbs, and it shows how to connect to Jenkins. It's old, it needs to be redone, but I had to have something, a placeholder out there, put something out there. So we don't have any, basically, right now. Let's shoot for at least 4 new tips and tricks blogs by March 31st. And maybe we can say we want to do at least 2 new training videos and 1 education webcast.
This is Neetu. I'm sorry, I had another meeting at 9. I was wondering if you can share the Google Docs or meeting links so
Oh,
that I
sure.
can capture.
There should be, it's already up there. If you look in the chat,
Okay.
the chat, it's the first.
Yeah, I think I joined late, so I don't see it.
Oh, okay. Let me just put it in there again. There you go.
That's interesting to know. I never knew that they didn't give you the full chat.
Oh.
That's interesting.
I can see it now. Thank you.
So Neetu, what we're trying to do is come up with some solid goals for the first 3 months for the outreach.
Mm-hmm.
The goals that our goal is to increase adoption of Ortelius by 200 to 225% of what we're doing now, which is like 1 sign up per day. So we're going to try to get to 2.5 signups per day by the end of March 31st. In order to get there, some of the lead goals that we need to increase the number of hits on the website by 200%. And then I've just started adding some other items that we need to achieve in order to increase the adoption. We have 4 new tips and trick blogs. That's more than 1 a month. 2 new training videos, 1 educational webcast, and then we have mentions and user stories, Twitter mentions and increased followers in social media, and then increase our GitHub stars, which we haven't defined what we want to increase any of that to. That's where you jumped in.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can see the notes. Should contributors, number of contributors, be a matrix?
We talked about that being a goal, and we had thought about that as well. I think that the number of I almost feel like the number of contributors would be a full-on goal on its own.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep us focused on what we want, if we can achieve anything in the next 3 months. I first said 6 months, and that was brought down to 3 months, which I think is a really good idea because it is much easier to track on a 3-month time frame. If we just focus on that one goal, what do we need to achieve in order to, what we need to be able to do is say, we know this is the goal we want to achieve. What are the smaller goals that we need to achieve to get us there?
Yeah. So,
And
go ahead, Steve.
just going to jump in real quick. It looks like we're getting 1,000 hits a month on the website.
Okay.
Roughly. Go ahead, Neetu. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that when we say increase adoption, I want to go back and understand what it means. It basically means that people fork the project or what?
Yeah, so no, it means, and that's a great question. I think that we've decided it means that they have signed up to use the online version of Ortelius, or they have downloaded Ortelius.
Okay.
So this is new signups or downloads.
Okay. So in that case, if it is about new signups and downloads, then it is targeted towards the API users.
It's targeted to users, yes. And
Yes.
I think what we're seeing is people who want to use the product are very likely to become contributors.
Right. So my next question was that Steve mentioned that we see 1,000 hits on the website. What is the current adoption of Ortelius? How many new signups do we get?
We're doing we have 200 and I think I said 225 from this past year. So
Okay.
that should bring it, and so we're shooting for an increase to around, and that's on a quarter, so
Yeah.
divided by 4 is 56. So we want to bring in about 125 new signups or downloads in the first 3 months, which is ambitious.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand where we are losing because people are coming to the website and maybe, so the conversion rate right now is what per month? Do we know? Like 1,000 hits on the website, but new signups only 20?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So we have to increase, obviously, the goal.
Conversion.
Yeah, the conversion.
Conversion from hits to signups. Website hit to signups.
Hey, Tracy.
Yes.
This is James. I mean, are the numbers going to be skewed because are we talking about the hits to Deploy Hub versus hits to Ortelius? Right. So is that a reason why the conversion rate might be low? Is because not everybody's going to Deploy Hub for Ortelius, but if we're tracking the numbers on Ortelius and what does that skew the numbers at all?
Yeah, that's why I was saying that we need to figure out how we want to do that. I feel like what we should be doing at this point is we should have a branded Ortelius, because right now we have Deploy Hub as the logo on the Deploy Hub team. We need to change that over to Ortelius. And we need to make sure that we have, a clear path on the Ortelius website to the sign up. Because we have sign up for, Deploy Hub team hosted Ortelius on the Ortelius site. But yeah, so right now those numbers could be a bit skewed in terms of, it's probably lower than that, Neetu. But it's hard for us to track where people are coming from. If they're coming from the Ortelius site or if they're finding us from Deploy Hub. But right now, I think what we want to focus on is driving traffic to the Ortelius site. That's really what we need to be. We need to, not that I want to suck anybody off of the Deploy Hub site, but we need to be pushing the Ortelius brand and the Ortelius site more so. And so that's what we need to be focused on. But the numbers could be skewed, James. Yes, that is true.
Steve?
So increasing the hits on the website is a goal. I guess let's set up the goals and then we'll brainstorm on how to get there.
Yeah. So we have the goals are to, here's just a handful, increase the number of hits on the website by 200%. I put in here someone needs to track, or to 2,000. So we want to, bring it up to 2,000. Increase the conversion rate from hits to signups. We don't have one right now, but we need to, if we could just do the math, if we're doing, if we're trying to get one a day and we're doing it's just
1,000 to 20, I guess, 20 working days.
Yeah. So that's, we want 50 hits per day, right? And out of that, we need to get, if we want to get, that's where the problem with percentages, it's easier to have solid numbers, 225% increase, which right now we're saying we're doing 20 a month. So times 3 is 60 times percent. So we need to be able to do, like, we're looking at trying to get to 180 downloads. Is that right? We're doing
A quarter.
180 downloads a quarter, or signups for the first quarter?
Yeah. It seems a little high, but
I think I did 300%. That's why I'm going, wait, I don't think that was right. We did 50.
because it should just take 450 divided by 4, or yeah, 450 divided by 4 is what you get.
112. That's why I thought I did. Okay, so we want to increase the adoption of, or we'll just not call this the adoption. We'll call it the download or sign up of Ortelius to 112 by March 31st. Okay, so our goal is we want to increase download or signups of Ortelius to 112 by March 31st. So between now and the next 3 months, we're trying to get 30 a week, about 30 a month, which is, that's reasonable. And in order to get there, we know that we have to increase the number of hits on the website by about 200%, or to 2,000. I don't think we have to get quite to 2,000, but
Well, I think that's going to be a combination of the website, the number of people looking at the videos. So there may be different avenues that people are going to take, but I think overall we want to see an increase across all the different social media upticks.
okay. So why don't we stop it at that? Let's just, for this particular, for the next, so I think that we have two pretty heavy goals here, is how to increase the number of hits on the website and to increase the conversion rate on the website from hits to signups. I think we need to really, and then probably the other one would be, I know that people have problems if there's not a lot of content about how to do things. So I think that getting at least 4 new tips and tricks blogs out there is, I think those are the 3 things that we should focus on right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, increasing the conversion rate on the website from hits to signups, I think that one is probably going to be the hardest one. We can certainly, so is there anybody who wants to take on the website and set up goals or do anything like that?
Google Analytics.
In Google Analytics, yeah, and we have other tools we can be using too.
I can try that. So basically start tracking where we are losing people, how many people are coming, etc., right?
Yeah, we need to start watching. Well, once we start getting more hits on the website, we should be able to watch the behavior and see how we can capture get the conversions. I can try to. I'll set up a conversion goal. I'll work on that, but I need input to find out what makes sense and what doesn't.
I can work with you.
Okay.
We'll also create cards on the Trello board and assign owners for each of these actions.
Okay. You want to, and I opened issues this past week for blogs. So maybe I need to highlight that we need the tips and tricks blogs, because I think that if we want to increase website hits, one of the ways to do that is through blogging.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I wanted to check. Like, do we need to increase marketing, or we just need to increase the content? Based on the goals that you mentioned, it seems like we are missing content.
Right now we're missing content. We don't have a lot of content.
Okay. So to generate content, maybe, we could incentivize contributors to produce content. Maybe like, I know we are talking about badges.
Yep.
That maybe we could do like first blog, first article, that kind of a thing. Right? Or if there are other ways to incentivize, but basically, or we could set up a quarterly goal or sprint goal and tell the contributors that, we're not looking for code contributions. We want to focus here. Is that something possible?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if this is our yes, it's totally possible.
I think your idea of doing like a sprint goal, I think if we do the rewards sooner than later than waiting for 3 months, I think it'll get people excited, because that's kind of how the Hacktoberfest came about. Now it's only a month-long run.
Yeah.
So that definitely got everybody excited.
Yeah, I think like if you could do like a quarterly goal or maybe just like a month-long sprint goal, that everybody just contribute content, right?
Yep.
And if we can reward them some ways, that would be cool too.
If we're going to reward with badges and things like that, having our first ever official contribution contest, over the next whatever time period, and having some kind of contest where there's, the badges for the first time are given away or something like that.
Okay.
Turn it into something fun, a little game, a little playoff.
Yeah, like a content Hacktoberfest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we have taken 46 minutes. That's more than enough time. I think I might schedule a follow-up to this. Let me think through what that need to. I'll reach out to you. Maybe we can get some time on our plates to come up with this and to look at the website and how to fix that. And if anybody else has any ideas on how we can, I think we need someone to start tracking analytics for the website in general.
Yeah, I think I would like to learn that part.
It's one of those that you definitely need somebody that's been there before.
Okay.
To walk you through where to look, because there's so many different things. So I got the I can give you a starting point, because I can get into hook things up, but how to change things and turn the dials is very difficult.
Okay, I'll learn it. Yeah.
And then there's a loftier goal that I have been thinking about that kind of fits into this. We need, in terms of contributors, we have a good number of individual contributors, but we need to start looking for a company contributor. And I'll make sure that that will be my goal for the next 3 months, to see if we can bring in one company contributor. I mean, we have Deploy Hub users who are helping with push the roadmap, and they're on our customer advisory boards, but we need Ortelius needs a company member. So just think about that too. If there's in your journeys, if you think of a company who might be a good, like I'm trying to get Netflix to be that company member, but they're so big. I don't know if it's, you know, Netflix or Google should be our company member.
We should also look like to means part of GSOC, so means every new members may come in, right?
We had plans for GSOC, right? I remember seeing the email.
We got to get signed up for that. I saw it come through, but I have not done anything as far as getting that all going.
Do you want me to look into that? I
If
think
you
GSOC
could,
would.
please, yeah.
Okay.
Just let me know what you find and what we need to do, just high level.
Okay.
But I do remember it coming through and it just fell through the cracks on my side.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, in January the organizations will be announced. I think for GSOC, its timeline was showing in January.
Then we might have missed the deadline.
Yeah, we probably did.
Okay.
But there'll be other ones that we just need to keep a heads up on.
Yeah, but I guess to Tracy's point, I think that is different. The GSOC one is a little different than the company contributor. But yeah, it's aligned towards getting more contributors.
And also we should look like to get with more SCM systems other than GitHub. Means I know most people are there in GitHub, but also we have more people in other SCM systems other than GitHub.
Yes.
How does that work? So for example, if we put our project both on GitHub and GitLab, is that what we are talking about? No, sorry. So what other SCMs are we thinking about?
Well, we in terms of integrations, we have integration with quite a few different SCM tools. But is that what we're talking about? People who are using different platforms for version control?
Yeah. People who are dealing with different version control systems.
Yeah, so Ortelius itself has the ability to integrate with a whole, I think there's 5 or 6 standard integrations with version control systems. But I think that in terms of where we can find adoption is if we do more specific around the CD pipeline. So we need to make sure, and we need to, this goal needs to sort of bleed over into the architecture group. So if we need to get a clean Spinnaker integration, if that we need to have that done sooner than later, we need to move that up in order to achieve this particular goal. So there may be technical things that we need to do in order for this goal to be achieved that we need to bring up to the architecture group.
So these guys,
I'm thinking that we need to have for example, in the architecture group, some of the goals would be to make sure that we have a simple onboarding process. And the hipster store example is clear. I don't know if we've ever achieved that.
Yeah, and just to about like GitHub versus GitLab for the project, the CDF, Continuous Delivery Foundation, they run everything off of GitHub.
Yeah.
So that's where it got slated into the GitHub world versus GitLab because of the CDF. Now, under the covers, we are using things like GitHub Actions, but also we're using Google Cloud Build as part of the CD process. So we have a mix of underlying CD tools that we're utilizing at that level. So we're not hooked into one particular CD process under the covers right now.
And on that note, I think that the architecture group are going to have two goals that they want to get done over the course of the next 3 to 6 months. The first one being making sure that we have our own internal CD process built out, which I think it's kind of there, but it's not completely. So when somebody checks something in, it actually gets compiled and gets updated when the push request is approved. And then they have the work on the component sets as a new feature.
Also, Tracy, what we need to also do is we need to, I mean, you and Steve have to have a conversation with CDF and ask them what kind of stats they would require from us on a regular basis. So we need to build that system if it doesn't exist. So that should also be.
Yeah, we do have that. They asked us for that at the very end of the year. It was pretty basic. I think
I posted it out here. Let me look. It's
it was
out
like number of contributors, number of countries, and there's like one other thing, but it was really basic. It wasn't a major lift.
Okay.
I put it out here in a document somewhere. If you look in.
I have that stats, which you shared with.
Yep, that's all they asked for. But I
Okay.
think that we can give them more information. So if we can show them growth and we're tracking it ourselves, that can be added. That's just a, I don't know if they really thought about what they wanted to see in their annual report. So we can give them whatever kind of stats that those are the basic stats that they want. But if we can say we've grown X number of percent, that's what they're going to be. That's really what the board wants to know. They want to see growth. They want to see growth in the adoption and the committers.
Okay.
So there's something out here about GitHub stars.
I will keep him there. I'm not throwing this guy away. If you throw it, there will be consequences.
So I wonder, is there a way that we can use more than one SCM system?
Like I said, we can, but the CDF, everything when I was going through the proposal was focused around GitHub.
Okay.
Because they have like GitHub owners files, they have everything baked into the GitHub world. Now, it doesn't mean that on our CD tool chain that we're going to be using that we can't bring in a GitLab, for example, to do some of the work,
right,
as part of that process. So, or Tecton, for example, we can start using Tecton down the road or whatever. So that's like more of the plumbing part. But the front end facing pieces, from what I can tell from the CDF, is all GitHub driven. I know Sasha likes to use, he's been working with GitLab a lot and he loves it, so.
And maybe we can talk to them about getting a free version for us of their pipeline stuff.
Yeah. So that's where, we have a lot of options other than the front end piece, I think we can really build upon what we got and pretty easily and incorporate, like you said, one of the things from an end-to-end perspective, checking things in and moving it all the way out to our production clusters is something that we need to look at, because Karam and I found something, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, where you do a pull request, but it doesn't close the issues that on the GitHub side. So we have to put a plugin in there to have that automatically done. So there's little things like that we just need to put in place to streamline things.
Okay. Well, we have gone an hour. Everybody, thank you so much for the hour of time. This has been a really good call, and I think that setting up our goals now, considering we only have in 3 months' time we only have 6 meetings, this was a good call, and I thank everybody for their input. And you two, I'll reach out and see what kind of time you can put on your calendar, and I'll start focusing on how we can do this, and incentivize this blogger program. I think that would be a fun way to get the year started, and definitely helps us reach the goal.
And I'll set up something around the website, so whoever is interested in website trafficking, I'll set up a meeting for that.
Okay, perfect. Probably going to be Neetu and I, most certainly. I want to learn it too, Neetu. That's something I've really got to get my head around. I just never have time.
Well, I'm no expert on it. I just know how to set it up.
I know we need someone who's an expert that can really point out and really focus on it. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.